Mr. President, you say you want to secure the border. Texas has secured it. Leave it alone. We don't need you down here.
Thanks, Green. First, a whole high school in New York is having remote classes today because the building was needed to house people who came into this country illegally. So what is the president's priority in this case? Is it the migrants or is it the students? Thank you, John. Why are you guys making it easier for people to enter the country illegally?
There are signs the Biden administration may be backing down from a standoff between the state of Texas and the feds at the southern border.
Thanks, Green. First, a whole high school in New York is having remote classes today because the building was needed to house people who came into this country illegally. So what is the president's priority in this case? Is it the migrants or is it the students?
Just clear this up a little bit. So yesterday, New York City informed us that as a precaution, they would temporarily relocate migrants staying at Floyd Bennett Field to a nearby high school. As of this morning, all migrants have returned to the facility at Floyd Bennett Field, and so anything specific as to the program and what decided to do and all of the specifics to that, I would certainly refer you to New York City for any additional questions.
But if a working parent had to call out to stay home with their kid today, isn't this Biden immigration policy literally taking money out of people's pockets?
So let's say, I'm going to actually go back to your first question for a second because I think I do need to address that, which is, you know, when it comes to education, migrants, the economy, the president deals with multiple issues all at once. That is his job. There are multiple things happening all at once. And as it relates to this particular question that you're asking me about in New York City, that is something that New York City needs the answers to. That is a process that they took, so they have to answer to that. And as it relates to migrants and what's happening at the border, look, the president has taken this issue very seriously by making sure that on his first day, which is almost 3 years, it'll be a couple weeks, it'll be 3 years ago, that he put forward a comprehensive immigration legislation to deal with what's happening with the immigration process, obviously, and also the border. And this is an issue that's been going on for decades. The system has been broken for decades, and the president is the one who has taken action to deal with this, while House Republicans do not. They get in the way.
And Hunter Biden on Capitol Hill today. How big of a headache is that for you?
Hunter Biden is a private citizen. He is not a member of the White House, as you know, and I just don't have anything else to share.
But the last time he was on the Hill, he said the president was certainly familiar with what his son was going to say.
I did say that, and here's
So
and what I'm
is the
saying
line
today.
that President Biden does not help him with his business deals, but he does help him skirt congressional subpoenas?
Thank you.
Karine, does the White House believe that additional election monitors are necessary in swing states across the country?
So I want to be careful because we're talking about upcoming elections, obviously. I'm assuming you're referring to 2024 and what we're going to be potentially seeing. So I'm going to have to refer you to the campaign. Obviously, for us, and we've taken actions on the federal level on making sure voting is accessible, and have taken the president signed an executive action very early on what we can do on the federal level to make sure that voting is a lot easier for folks and they have access and they're educated on what's available to them. But I want to be really careful, certainly, on talking about anything that's related to 2024.
I know, and I just want to challenge you a little bit on that, because it's not, I'm not asking for a reaction, at least not directly, to the person who brought this up.
Yeah.
I'm asking broadly about whether or not the infrastructure is sufficient and whether the White House believes it needs additional backup.
I will say this. We believe that voting should be made easier for Americans. We've been very clear about that. It should not be, there should not be put in a place or in a situation where their right to vote is there's an obstacle in any way. And so, look, every state deals with that differently. Every state has their own kind of process. So certainly not going to preempt that and talk about what states are doing or what that may look like for any of these battleground states. That certainly are going to be focused on by all of you next year. I just want to be super, super careful on how I speak to anything that's related to 2024. So I'm just being incredibly mindful here.
Just on the funding for Ukraine and Israel, given that the impasse right now seems to be over border issues, can you speak a little bit about what the White House is and isn't willing to support on that issue specifically?
I'm just not going to negotiate from here, not going to get into any policy specifics or provisions or whatever is being discussed as it relates to that in the Senate. I'm just going to let them have those conversations. I'm just not going to lay out what we will accept or not accept. I'm just going to let them deal with the process on the other side of Pennsylvania.
Two quick questions. What is the reaction here to the collapse of the border talks over the weekend? You know, that is supposed to unlock money for Ukraine. You're getting to the end of the road on Ukraine, so what is the view here on what happened over the weekend with the breakdown in those talks?
So look, we've been pretty consistent and are not going to get into the hypotheticals or specifics of the conversations happening in Congress. We're going to let congressional members, senators have those conversations. I can say that as we've done with many when legislation is discussed, as we've done with many other components of, or other times that legislation comes to like a debate, we offer technical assistance, and certainly we offer any advice that may be needed from us, but I'm just not going to get into hypotheticals from here. You saw the letter from, as it relates to our national security, you saw the letter from our OMB Director, Shalonda Young. You heard from Jake Sullivan just moments ago about how important it is to get the supplemental done. It is important to our national security, and so we're going to be really clear about that and continue to speak pretty steadfast and let Congress know the time is now to get this done.
One follow on Israel-Hamas. The General Secretary of the International Federation of Journalists told the AP in an interview today that journalists or media workers are killed. One is killed every day on average in the war, making it a conflict beyond compared to any other. At least 60 journalists have been killed since October 7, most of them Palestinians. So my question is as the U.S. urges Israel to minimize the deaths of Palestinian civilians, is there a similar emphasis that's placed on sparing journalists from being caught in the crossfire?
I just want to be clear, I haven't seen this interview, so I want to be really clear about that, but obviously making sure that journalists who are really important on the ground and reporting on what's happening on the ground and making sure that they're protected and able to do that is critical. It's important. And that is that we've been pretty consistent here about protecting and making sure that journalists are able to do what they're are able to gather the facts, report the facts, and do that in a way that they're not threatened or they're not put in danger. Obviously, they are in a dangerous situation, but obviously that is a concern for us. We're certainly monitoring that, having those conversations, but I did not see this interview, so I want to be really, really clear about that. But we want to make sure that journalists are protected. What they're doing on the ground is critical. It's important in hearing directly from them on what they're seeing. Everyone that the circumstances under which the federal government can mobilize a state's national guard are outlined in the law, right? So that I'll leave that there, but I'm just not going to get into speculations on any actions the president's going to take at this time. Well, I mean, the Supreme Court is the highest, law, court of the land. It is, and they made a ruling, and on Tuesday. As you guys probably saw, DHS sent Texas a letter outlining the access Border Patrol needs in Shelby Park, for example, to do their jobs, and demanding Texas confirm this access will be honored. Border Patrol needs to have access in order to do their job. They just do. And, what we're seeing from Governor Abbott, you've heard me say this over and over again, they're making it harder. He's making it harder for Border Patrol to do their jobs. They need access. And right now, they don't have that. And it's under the Constitution of the United States that federal law is the supreme law of the land. And any conflicting state is preempted. That's the law.
So you think they're failing to comply with the court's orders?
I mean, it's the law. It is literally the law. I mean, it is the law. And what we want is Border Patrol to be able to do their jobs. And right now, Governor Abbott is getting in the way. And you see it, DHS sent a letter on this. I would refer you to to what they wrote.
Is DHS still trying to work with the Texas National Guard?
Look, DHS wants the Border Patrol agents to have access. They want them to be able to do their job so that they can follow the law. When Border Patrol is trying to have access to that area, they actually are trying to enforce the law. That's what they're trying to do. And Governor Abbott is getting in the way of that. And so they're trying to do their job, enforce the law, make sure that they are able to do what they are meant to be doing as Border Patrol agents.
They're communicating with the Texas National Guard.
I mean, honestly, I would refer you to the DHS on communication. I'm not tracking every communication that they're having. What I'm saying more broadly, which is true, which is Border Patrol needs to be able to do their job, and they're getting in the way of that.
And just a quick one on the border talks. We understand, we and others have reported that the White House has said that they would accept limiting parole at the border as a condition in the Senate border talks. Can you confirm?
I cannot confirm that from here. I'm going to let the negotiators have their process, go through their process. We think it's happening in good faith. We think there's been progress, and we want to see a bipartisan agreement here.
Thank you, John. Why are you guys making it easier for people to enter the country illegally?
I don't believe we are. Why do you think we are?
Well, you guys sued to cut razor wire that was put in place by Texas officials.
So that the Border Patrol could actually do their jobs, but keep going.
Well, you won in court, so now what? The Border Patrol Union president is saying the Supreme Court's decision is going to undoubtedly encourage more illegal immigration. Do you guys know better than the Border Patrol Union?
The Border Patrol needed access, and that's why we sued to get rid of that razor wire, so that they could do their jobs. And you know what would also help them do their jobs, Peter? More Border Patrol agents. There's an idea. And if you go back to the supplemental request that we put in, there's money in there for some 1,300 additional Border Patrol agents. We want to help them do their jobs. We want to give them more resources. And the answer we keep getting back from House Republicans is no, no, no.
Does razor wire work?
Does razor wire work for what? Does it work for the Border Patrol to allow them to have the access they need to be able to better process people that are trying to get across the border? I don't think so, and that's why we asked for it to be removed.
But what is the president's plan? This is happening just weeks after 300,000 people came into this country over the southern border illegally. The razor wire, officials down there think, was keeping some of them out. And you guys just sued and won to remove it.
On behalf of the Border Patrol, who needed to have better access to it. Look, let me go back to your other question. And I know I'm running short on time, so I won't filibuster here. But what's the plan? Please look at the stuff we've put forward. The immigration reform legislation that the president put forward on day one. The work we're doing in the region. Just last week we had Mexican officials here to talk about how together we have and will continue to try to stem the flow of migrants. You mentioned the numbers. No question there's a lot of people trying to make that journey, but it's not just to the United States, it's to other countries in the world, in the region. We're seeing historic movement. Not since World War II have we seen this many people on the move in this hemisphere. And the Mexicans are really stepping up and trying to do more on their southern border to keep that flow going north lower. And we have seen in recent weeks some success at that. The idea that we don't have a plan or a strategy or we're not taking this seriously is just not borne out by the facts. And, again, if the folks on the House Republican side are serious about border security, and they claim they are, then they should act on the supplemental request and, let's negotiate this in good faith. The president has said he's willing to make compromises. He's willing to negotiate in good faith. So let's have that discussion.
The tensions led the Border Patrol Union to issue a statement Friday saying, in part, rank-and-file Border Patrol agents are not going to start arresting Texas National Guard members for following their lawful orders. That's fake news.
Tensions between Texas and the Biden administration have reached a boiling point as the Lone Star State continues to defy an emergency injunction from the Supreme Court and block federal border agents into the state to cut razor wire it's been installing over the past few weeks. 25 other states have signed a letter pledging to support Texas as it installs razor wire on the southern border, with some sending members of their own state and National Guard to assist with the installation process. They wrote, "We stand in solidarity with our fellow governor, Greg Abbott, and the state of Texas in utilizing every tool and strategy, including razor wire fences, to secure the border. We do it in part because the Biden administration is refusing to enforce immigration laws already on the books and is illegally allowing mass parole across America of migrants who entered our country illegally."
But it wasn't just Republicans who backed Abbott's decision to buck the feds. Presidential hopeful RFK Jr. wrote, "Texas is right. Biden's failure to secure the border leaves states no choice but to take matters into their own hands. As president, I will end this humanitarian crisis once and for all. I will secure the border and destroy the business model of the drug cartels. A country without borders is not a country at all."